Good morning, welcome along to the live stream, the second in the series from Burnley, the Youth Academy Challenge. Thank you as always to those of you who were joining me early on. I appreciate 10 AM on a Tuesday is not the ideal start time. Unfortunately, as we go through each week, it is my morning off work, so that's the reason that we go for it on a Tuesday. So thank you for everyone who's joining along. I hope you're looking forward to this one. I certainly am, and I'm hoping we're going to have a good one today. So please do get down in the chat if you're involved. We're really looking forward to getting going today. So please do get involved, have a chat, whatever you want to, about the save, about my channel, about me, about yourselves. Let's just have a bit of fun and hang out. We've done it well the last few weeks, and hopefully we'll do the same again. L Gaming, good morning, and welcome to a regular, sorry. It's good to have you along. I do appreciate you joining us this morning. And to everyone else who's here, get involved. It's a good community, and hopefully the football manager side of things will go well as well. So for those of you that weren't here last week, there's a full stream replay available which you can catch up with afterwards, and there will be for this one as well. But we have taken over the Burnley side that we left in the head coach. So obviously in that series we have to be realistic, we have to move from club to club. But we love this Burnley side so much, and there were 5 or 6 brilliant British youngsters who we thought we could bring through. So we then set ourselves a challenge. Can we make the Youth Academy Challenge work with Burnley? A full homegrown 11 to win a trophy. Now I realise with a few months to go, it might only be a League Cup, it might only be an FA Cup. But what if we could do that? That would be brilliant. Really do appreciate the opportunity to do it, and hopefully we'll make it work. Tom, welcome along. New Barnet, been up to much? Well, as you can see, yes, I've had a haircut. There's been some good stuff going on. Thank you to everyone who's joining along. Joe, good morning. Good to have you along. If you are new and you have joined along for the first time, please do put a thumbs up on it. It does make such a difference in the morning. We have been up to a few things. We were clearing out the Christmas cupboard yesterday. So as a result, this morning, I've had the head of a chocolate reindeer for breakfast, which is probably cruel, but there we go. But either way, we're going to get on with Burnley today. We picked things up unbeaten after 4 games. You're with me, obviously, for the first 4 of the season. And we had the transfer special. So as I mentioned last time out, we have done a sort of lighter version of the Youth Academy Challenge. The reason being is that obviously in 4 or 5 months, being June and the new game normally out in November, we would never make it if we tried to do it from Youth Academy players only. So we wanted to combine it, and over 2 years, we'll try and do it, but we will sign some under-18s. Talk, you've been doing headstands. Good lad. I don't think I could do that at my age, to be honest. I haven't quite got the flexibility anymore. I mean, we went and played about 20 minutes of football last week. Now we were able to, again, socially distance, of course. And I didn't feel good after it, to be honest. So I'm not going to be getting too intense with the exercise. Just a daily walk for me. Thank you to everyone who's joining along this morning. If you are looking forward to it, please put a thumbs up on it. And I'm afraid for those who are late stragglers this morning, you're going to miss the start of the first game, because we are going to get straight into Burnley v Tottenham. Don't forget last episode, we had a fairly friendly start. We've only played Forest, Wolves, Shrewsbury and Fulham, and Derby County as well. So although 8 points isn't a bad start from 4, probably not ideal given the sides we faced. If we want to get up to 7th or higher again, we're going to have to beat the likes of Tottenham now. So we're into a game where we're heavy underdogs for the first time this year. And obviously it's the first game back on a Friday night after international duty. We've got one casualty as well. In the number 10 role, you'll notice that Ashley Harrott's missing. And that's because he's picked up a knock. So he's going to be out for a week or 2. And that's going to leave us a little bit shorter than usual. So let's go and get into this game. Let me know your predictions for the first one. A few of you were spot on in the last episode 2 or 3 times. So let's see if you can get the same luck this morning. But the 11, we've got Summerskill in goal. Bonner and Wardley the fullbacks. Flauhaut and Simpson in the middle. Ferran Torres and Owen Edmonds on the wings. Xavier and Robinson in the middle. And Glenn Stevens in for the first start of the season, with Sunday Balogun back from injury but not match fit up front. So as we mentioned, over 2 years we're starting to gradually turn this into a homegrown 11. So in the first summer we've got Summerskill in, Bonner's in, Simpson, Edmonds. We've mentioned the fact that Harrott will be eventually, but obviously he's out injured. And on the bench, the young signing Fabio, Dwight McNeil, the returning hero, and in Richards, Vaughan, O'Callaghan and Lowry all qualifying as well. So lots of homegrown players in this squad, and lots of them that are going to become homegrown in the future as well. So that's the standard that we're looking for. L Gaming, you've gone for a 1-1 draw. I tell you what, I'd snap your hand off for that. Joe, 2-1 Tottenham. Probably correct. Craig's trying to catch me out, asking me to say Coleraine. You'll remember back in FM18, I think I managed them briefly and kept calling them Coleraine. But I've since become an aficionado on Northern Irish football, so no catching me out today, Craig. Belina Millard, possibly not correct. Not quite so confident on that one. Tom, what do we think of Tottenham? Well, you as an Arsenal fan will probably think they're rubbish, but I don't know how they've been in this save, so let's go and have a quick look how they've been getting on. They're certainly not on that Premier League title list. Oh, I tell you what, you'll be happy with this. They have been a mid-table side for a few years. Back up in the top 4 last season, but no finish higher than 6th for a decade on here. And a couple of proper mid-table ones. That is not the best from Tottenham. They've got Max Aarons. That's a good signing, although he'll be quite experienced now. And let's see if they've won any competitions. That's going to be the main thing, isn't it? Champions League runners-up. That was the last year in real life. No FA Cup. No Premier League. Europa League. They won the Europa League, Tom. 2023. So, unfortunately, they have got a big trophy. They were runners-up a few years later. They were runners-up in the Super Cup. Carabao Cup, twice runners-up. But yeah, a Europa League, definitely their biggest achievement. So let's get into the first game of the day. Thank you for your predictions. Carl, have you missed anything? Just the introduction. So we've talked a little bit about the last episode's recap, and we're just about to start our first game now. So we've got our predictions in. Let us know what you think the score will be. Thank you for joining along. Titles aren't Tottenham's thing. I'm sure Tom will agree with you on that one. They've not quite been their normal scratch this morning. No Jonathan Lecco. No, only a hero in League One for me. And of course, not homegrown with Burnley, so I can't be signing him in this one. But he is a hero from Tranmere. We remember over on the podcast channel. Let's get into the tunnel interview and the first half. And let's see if Burnley can get things going. Apologies, I'm smacking the spacebar this morning. If you are new along, thank you so much. The views are definitely up on last week. If you are new along, please do put a thumbs up on it. It does make such a difference. Come and get involved in the chat. Have a laugh. There's plenty of good people there. And they'll all entertain you as well as I will. Or I'll try my best to anyway. We're 15 minutes in and we've not actually seen a lot really. Just one half chance. And Tottenham are coming forward down the left. And this is where we're a little bit weaker. Callum Bonner gave away a penalty the first day. Has been on international duty and is a little bit tired. So I'm worried for him in the second half. But so far, we're keeping Spurs at bay, and we're looking okay, to be honest. Wardley heads that into the path of danger, though. Gabriel Henrique, good block. Well done, Wardley. Recovered there. Out to the left-hand side. Aarons on their right. Oh, that's awful. That is awful. Flauhaut tries to clear it. I think it is his own man. Who was it? It was Wardley it hit. Just hit him on the back of the head, and then dropped down for the Spurs man, who puts it in. What can you do about that? That's the start to the morning we were looking for. I've got a feeling our unbeaten Premier League run might be on the way. But we're straight back down the other end, not looking too threatening from a set piece. And now Spurs are countering. This is not the start to the Friday night football we were hoping for. Torres wins it back, but straight to Henrique. I tell you what, they look a good side. Young Coombs over. You can see how they got back in the top 4. Oh, nearly beat us at the near post from 4 yards. That is a bad start to the game, I'm afraid. But we are finally on the front foot. Balogun delivers. Flauhaut heads just over. Nearly made amends. The skipper made the error. The failed clearance for the Tottenham goal. And he nearly got us back on terms there. But it's a lot of free kicks. And we're conceding quite a few of them, actually. Sekera puts the ball in. Oh, good save, Summerskill. Really good save. Let me know what you think of the game so far. Craig's enjoying that goal. I knew you would. You like seeing me lose, don't you? Sekera puts the ball into the front post. Torres heads away. Now can we get going? Young Coombs into the tackle. Stevens loses out. It's out for a throw-in. Let me know if the game's playing through all right. I've been trying to change the settings a little bit for the live games. It's only the second episode where we've actually played matches on camera. As Tottenham hit the post again. Or the crossbar it's given there. They are completely dominant. We're going to have to drop to balanced. We're getting outclassed. We'll demand a bit more. But let me know if there's any technical problems. The quality's down. We've got a little bit of an upgrade with Virgin Media in the area. I say upgrade in brackets. It caused absolute havoc yesterday. For the podcast channel, I was interviewing a former Luton player, John Shaw. He's playing at South Shields now. He's the skipper. And unfortunately, I left his meeting about 3 or 4 times on Zoom. And it was just kicking me out every 10 minutes. So I apologise to John for that on the off chance he sees this. But thank you so much to everyone who's gone along. L Gaming, the game's playing well. Good to see. As long as you can make out what's happening, I'm a happy man. Thank you to everyone who's along. We're already in double figures. It's incredible for 10 past 10 in the morning. Please do put a thumbs up on it as we go 2-0 down. Oh, definitely a first defeat of the season. So this is the side that we were sort of competing with early last year. And they're the sort of bottom of the top 6 yet regularly. We're not going to compete with them. They're just too good. And look at some of the ratings as well. They're disgustingly low. And at half-time, we're 2-0 down. That is not a good first half, is it? Hopefully our morning will improve as we go along, but I'm not too hopeful based on that. We're coming up to a really sticky run the next couple of months. Carl, Virgin Media are always a nightmare around here. I can say the same for Luton as well, I'm afraid. So we've not had the best time the last week or so. Charlie, oh no, what have you missed? You've missed a comical goal, as Craig says, and you've also missed us getting absolutely battered since as well. And what we've really missed is Tottenham domination for 45.5 minutes. I'm hoping it will improve, but they did finish third last year, as we saw before. They've won the Europa League just a couple of years back. They're a good side. Carl, multitasking with work and watching the stream. Well, I appreciate you choosing this as part of your working ritual. I don't envy you being at work this morning. It's my one morning off, so I always enjoy here. Craig, you're here for the time wasting. Well, if we go a goal up at some point, we will do it. But at 3-0 down, we might have to time waste our way from embarrassment. I mean, it was only a week or so ago, wasn't it, in the Dorking save where we lost 9-0. And that was a complete collapse. I think it was 0-0 at half-time, if I remember rightly, in that game. So this one, possibly not going the way we were hoping. What it does mean, though, is we can bring on 3 of the youngsters. So Glenn Stevens has had a poor game. Phil Richards will come on for him. Fabio's going to come on at centre-half for Flauhaut. And Lowry's going to be the third. He's going to come on for Sunday Balogun, who's not quite fit yet. I did really want to bring Jack Vaughan on as well, but we can't find a place for him today. But it's not going to be long if Ossie Robinson keeps playing like that before he gets in the first 11. Thank you to everyone who's joining along. Thank you to all of you in the chat already. It's good to see it so active. It's great to see you all getting involved. I'm really enjoying this, and although we're having a slight hitch in the plan today, I'm sure we'll gradually pick our results back up. We're obviously throwing the cup as well. We've got to look at that moving forward. And fingers crossed we can just have an hour and a half of better results than this. Lowry's through at the other end though. Can the young player get a goal? There are some positives today at least. Leon Lowry, I tell you what, whenever he plays he scores. He's rated worse than Balogun and Trevor O'Callaghan remarkably, but he is still definitely my number 2 behind Balogun. And whenever he comes on he scores goals, so maybe he has to be number 1 soon. But thank you to all of you for joining along. I'm so appreciative to see so many of you here on a Tuesday morning. It really is great to see, so thank you so much. Please do get involved with everyone. What do you think of West Brom beating United? I mean, let's not read too much into it. It's early doors. Everyone's going to be fine. I always hate the media reporting that goes on that. It's sort of looking for headlines. In real terms, it's probably going to mean nothing in a week. The Championship sides, probably the ones I'm more worried about, obviously as a Luton fan. But hang on a minute, Lowry's in again. Lowry hits the post, nearly scores again. Trying to get us back in this game on his own. But yeah, I wouldn't read too much into it, to be brutally honest. In terms of the Championship, we will probably do a podcast about it later this week, before the Championship's back. We're really looking forward to it. Luton have got a new manager, of course, an old new manager. For his second spell, Nathan Jones, a chance to try and save us, become a hero, as we let in a 4th against Tottenham. I mean, we're just going to have to let this game go now, aren't we? But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Championship being back, but don't get too excited about West Brom just because they've beaten United. Slaven Bilic will take them up. I'm almost certain of that. But don't get too worried about it for now. Tottenham in again. I mean, they've had such a good performance here. They've been dominant. Leon Lowry's been our only real positive hope, and it's a 4-1 defeat. Well, I'm afraid none of you predicted that. You were all a bit too optimistic. The lads are motivated because we're unhappy, but that is not a good start to the morning. That drops us to 6th place still, but obviously we were the first fixture. So once we play through the whole weekend, I'd imagine that will change. I want to try and get at least to the next international break today. So we've got West Ham away, Forest in the Cup, Stoke and then Chelsea. Then we've got 2 weeks off. So we'll try and do 5 games today, finish off with Chelsea. Once we get past the international breaks, it's easy because there's not much time between games. But for now, we have to plan it out a little bit. So through we go. We will have a look at a couple of other things as well. There's a couple of other of you in the comments during the week that have mentioned other bits to look at. And we will go and do that too. So mentoring was one that popped up. Training was one that popped up as well. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll look at those sort of things in detail. Carl, our manager's out with COVID-19. So am I assuming from that, are you a Stoke fan? Yeah, you are. Sorry, just said it above. So Nathan Jones, probably not your most popular figure. I really don't know. We was mentioning this last week in a chat. I really don't know what went wrong there. Because he went to you on the crest of a wave as a brilliant manager. And it just seemed to go wrong. I mean, he hadn't really managed big egos or big players on big money before, I guess, which is a difference. But generally, I mean, he's a very good manager with Luton. It did take him a year and a half to settle. And I know at Stoke and bigger clubs, you don't get that time. And obviously, he had the benefit learning at Luton while he was in League Two, where there was less of a spotlight. So perhaps that's what pulled him down. But Michael O'Neill's a brilliant manager. You've got a very good one there. And even with his team around him, as long as they're at the matchday squad, you'll be all right. Michael O'Neill, he'll certainly keep you up. And unfortunately, you guys sacking Nathan Jones has probably led to us being in more of a relegation fight than we thought. Luton 23rd L gaming, as Craig says. Actually, us, Barnsley and Charlton, the three sides that came up, are in the relegation zone. Charlton have been out of it all year, but they've just dropped down after a poor run of form, loads of injuries. And again, we did a podcast about it because 2 or 3 of their star players have refused to play. One for health reasons, which is fine, but 1 or 2 because they don't want to hurt their contract situation. So Lyle Taylor, being their star striker, as it stands, won't be playing for them, hasn't even trained. So that does leave a little bit of a dilemma for the manager. Stoke was a basket case, to be fair, after Gary Rowett. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. In the dressing room, he inherited a really bad bunch of players in terms of attitude. Quality, they had loads of it in abundance. Hence, he tried to sign 10, 12, 14 championship players this summer. But I think the problem is, because some of those Stoke boys were on such big wages, he couldn't get rid of them. And the ones that were probably the bad eggs in the dressing room, he couldn't get out of the club, which unfortunately a lot of managers talk about. I mean, even where we've been doing interviews for the podcast, there's players and managers saying that the dressing room atmosphere is so important. And people always moan about how influential it is in FM, but actually when you talk to pros, it's amazing how much of an influence that has and how much of a difference it makes to their career. So, to be fair, Football Manager have nailed it, and I can understand why that was perhaps the issue at Stoke. Thank you to everyone along. Lyle Taylor has been rumoured to join Preston on a free. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because this contract situation is such a mess in the Championship. The players are out of contract the 30th of June. In theory, can join the club on the 1st of July and start playing for them. So Lyle Taylor to Preston would be a brilliant deal for Preston, but I don't think Lyle Taylor's won himself the hearts of many football fans over the last month, unfortunately. But those are things, people make their own personal choices. We're not going to get too worried about that. Liverpool have won their Monday night game. We've dropped down to 8th in the league. Some great players on scout reports here, and this one's 18, so let's have a look at him. No, he turns 19 before the 1st of January, so we can't get him in. But we will go and have a look at who we can put in the under-23s. Anyone who needs fitness, basically, we'll just give 60 minutes. Try and get them involved. So who have we got in there? Darnell Furlong, Trevor O'Callaghan, you can have 90. Craig Robinson, you can have 90. And Rod Coleman as well. Try and get the young players a bit of football. Dwight McNeil's on his way back. He can have 90 as well, actually. Great to have him back at the club, but he probably will be a backup most of this year. Anyone else? Andy May, we can definitely get him in there. Carl Whitehouse. And the young goalkeeper as well. And then we've got Vinicius, who's on that youth work permit, don't forget. So he can't play for us yet. We'll keep him involved there. L Gaming, am I on the icon or favoured personnel list for Burnley? I'd imagine it's probably a bit too soon, to be honest. So we were only there 2 years. One season where we kept them up and one where we got them promoted. So I don't know that we'll be in there yet. But let's go and have a look. We are in favoured personnel. Fair play. We've got there fairly quickly. Us, Sandy Balogun and Manu Garcia, who just left, of course. Chris Woods up in the icons. Robbie Blake, what a player he was. I remember him. Glenn Little in there as well. Legends. Jimmy McElroy. Yeah, there's a few of the old ones. So none of the new generation there. What really shocks me is Sean Dyche isn't in there at all. So I'm just wondering, did he leave for a bigger club or something? He's left. Where did he go? Who did he go to? He left for Aston Villa. So maybe that left a sour taste, because otherwise he should be a club legend, surely. Carl, have you thought about trying lower down for a challenge? Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. Obviously, normally my one club series is the lowest playable league through to the top. But I do want to go a bit lower in the future. So next year I'm taking my first step that way. I'll be dropping down one more tier, and that's because we've got a very local side to me, Hitchin Town, which is about 7-8 miles down the road. I go to a couple of home games a year, and they are in Step 7, the league below the National League South. So thankfully, no promotions, relegations, so it all stays as it is. So once the tier 10 database is out next year, or if I can get Hitchin promoted first year, I'll do that as my challenge next season, my one club story. I'm not sure yet if I'll do it as a normal one or a Youth Academy challenge. We'll think about that as we go along. But then the second year afterwards, once we've built up a bit more of a following, I want to do something a bit more involved with real life. So round the corner from me, about 10 minutes down the road, is Crawley Green, which is a football club in step 9. So they're down in step 5 of the non-league pyramid, the 9th tier, sorry. So that would be a brilliant one for me to do. Craig, who's in the chat there, and Charlie both manage and coach the reserves. So I'd love to do something where we're involved with the real life team and then we also work on FM as well. So that's something potentially for the future. Probably FM22 to go that far down, as I want to gradually work down as well. The big issue, of course, starting a lot lower down, so a lot of the bigger YouTubers are the ones who do it, is that really to get to the top tier within a year, you need to be able to put out episodes 5, 6, 7 times a week. And for me, I have to be realistic for the channel. The head coach I love doing, and that is also the one that draws the most views and the most people to the channel. So I have to do that save while I'm enjoying it. And that means that I can then, at the moment, only do 3 or 4 episodes a week of each. If I eventually get to the stage where this channel continues to grow, I can make it a part of my income. So I can do it part-time and then drop my work a little bit as well. Just be part-time NHS, part-time here. Then that's the sort of time where I could probably think, actually, I can drop my hours at work. I can do 10, 11, 12 episodes a week. And I can put out 5 from each. At that point, hopefully by FM22, Crawley Green works. A long-winded answer, but hopefully a detailed one. Thank you to everyone who's joining along again this morning. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate Tuesday morning is not the peak time, but thank you so many of you giving up your morning. Whether you're working, doing schoolwork, college work, university courses, whatever you're doing, it's great to have you along in the background or the foreground, however you're listening. So thank you so much for joining. If you haven't already, please do put a thumbs up on it. It makes such a difference. Helps people find the stream, helps it get listed on YouTube. And we can get more people into this brilliant community because there's so many great people in here. But we're heading towards the next game now. We've reached Saturday the 22nd. West Ham away is our fixture. So if Charlie's still here, he's a West Ham fan. He'll be watching that one. And we're slight underdogs actually going into it. Let's see if we can get anyone back in the team. Harrott's still injured. Whitehouse has got a knock. So I think we might have to go for the same squad, you know. I'm tempted to drop Flauhaut because he wasn't good. And I mean, the morale is atrocious here. The dressing room atmosphere is poor. Why is it so poor? We were unbeaten until the last game. It really doesn't make sense. I'll tell you what, we're going to have to do a bit of our old trick. So apologies that it's going to be a minute of boring watching or boring viewing. So let's talk amongst ourselves. But I'm just going to go and do a few individual chats, try and perk a few people up, because I've never seen a bunch of negative lads that have only lost 1 game. I know it was quite a heavy defeat, but until then we were brilliant, so I'm not quite sure why it's so down in the dumps. Thankfully, most of these lads are training really well, so we are able to give them the praise for it. We'll just go through the first 11 today, try and get them back up to okay, hopefully then get a result, that'll bring them back up to good. We've seen just how important morale is this year. With Dorking, it was an absolute revelation the way we changed it. So we're going to keep the same here. And I know it is time consuming. I know it's not the most entertaining viewing, but I hopefully promise you it will work. Carl Lawton, 16 days, 11 hours on this save. So a lot of commitment when working as well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we spend a lot of time on it, but it's something I enjoy doing. So it's not a problem for me. As I mentioned pretty much every week, I would love to make it part of my job long term. I'll always want to do a little bit of work in my day job in the NHS, keep involved. I love that as well. But for me to have this as my primary income as well as the podcast would be amazing. Obviously, we've got to the stage the last 3, 4, 5 months where we've just started earning income from monetisation adverts. Thank you to everyone that watches those. It really does make a difference. We've upgraded to Facecam, obviously. We've got a Cricket 19 back on the channel. I have already been able to reduce my work hours by 3 hours a week. So it just gives me the half a day to do the live stream, which I never had before. So all of those little things gradually help build. And once we get to that stage, I'll be able to hopefully put out more and better content than ever before. Getting a chance to interview professional footballers now, something I've never done. And those are really starting to take off, which is so rewarding. So there are definitely a lot of positives to it, but it is incredibly hard work to get to earning a few quid a month at the moment. But let's move on. We've gone through the lads. We've got them all happy enough. Let's see if they can make a difference. The same 11, let's give them a chance at redemption. Thank you to everyone with your predictions. Joe's gone for 1-1 again. Oh, Joe, you went for a defeat last time. You've gone for 1-1. L Gaming, you've gone for 2-1 to Burnley. Appreciate your optimism. L Gaming, what's the highest amount of views you've got on a video? I think the first one for FM19 head coach has got about 11,000. I think that's the highest altogether. And the head coach first one this year has got about 6,500. So probably will overtake it by the end. Unfortunately, I mean, the biggest thing that stunted the growth this year is at the start of FM20 was probably one of my worst times at work-wise. So I was really rushing the videos. I was broadcasting in a quite unnatural way, and it probably wasn't my best work. So obviously that big growth that I got at the start of FM19, I didn't quite get the same for FM20. And I am getting a lot of that now with the live streaming, the cricket coming back, the stadium series with Charlton took off as well. But obviously it's not quite the same as I got for FM19. So next year, I'll definitely take 2-3 weeks off work, annual leave, dedicate the time to it and hopefully grow again. But Wardley out to Edmonds on the left. We've got an early chance here. Into Stevens, down for Torres. Not got the same shooting boots on he had last year. Craig, 2-0 to the other team. That team's West Ham. Are you sure you want to stick with that, Craig? I know that's the lesser of two evils, isn't it? Thank you to everyone who's joining along. The number of viewers creeping up again. I really do appreciate it. Last week's stream was a resounding success. I mean, loads of you came and watched live. I think overall now it's had over 150 views. The watch time's incredible. It's got about 20 likes. It's absolutely fantastic. For the first ever live stream series on the channel and probably a bit of a babbling mess for an hour and a half. I could not be more grateful for that. So thank you to everyone joining along again. And if you are joining on late, there will be a live stream replay afterwards. Takes a couple of hours to process, so give it till the afternoon, but it will be there. We'll of course still have our 4:30 video today as well. It's Borussia Mönchengladbach, and there's a big one coming up. We're on a little cup run. We're up to the quarterfinals now, so I'm really looking forward to that. We've got a big Champions League chance in the league as well. We're on the periphery of the title race, but definitely in with a chance of the top four. There are lots of things to look forward to there. Dorking Wanderers, we've just finished the season as well. We've got a review tomorrow. And then possibly the biggest transfer special that I've ever had on this channel at all will be on Friday this week. I mean, I often talk about transfer specials being hectic or there being a busy deadline day, but that one is just out and out nuts. We've got the half-time here at West Ham, 0-0, looking defensively solid, which is important, but Owen Edmonds now picked up a knock, so let's go and make a change. Dwight McNeil will come on for him. We're going to bring the hero back. Let's see what he can do when he comes on. But thank you to everyone who is following the two long-term stories. The stadium reviews took off a couple of weeks ago. The Charlton episode, I think, got about 220 views. It's ridiculous. So thank you so much for that. Craig, will you bring your two co-hosts back for commentary, or are they bad luck? Well, Craig, as you would know as one of them, it is bad luck, as we have gone 1-0 up. So I tell you what, talking about is not bad luck, is it? Dwight McNeil about to come on, but Ferran Torres found his shooting boots. Edmonds actually set the goal up, and we have got the lead away at West Ham. Back to winning ways, hopefully. Let's get that morale up and show how much of a difference those individual chats make. But in terms of the commentary, I would like to do something again with the two podcast lads, actually. Oh, West Ham have scored already. Mateo Kovacic must be ancient now. He has put it in the back of the net. But yeah, it's just where time allows, to be honest. In terms of doing another network save or a stream save, it's just time is the only factor. 20 minutes to go. Let's make changes. Sunday Balogun is really struggling to get the fitness. So Leon Lowry on again. Ossie Robinson cannot perform in that role. So do you know what? Remind me next week. Jack Vaughan's going to start. 15 minutes to go. Still 1-1. The Cricket World Cup out every time. Every week we get it out. Brilliant tournament last year. Really enjoyed going to that. Golovin puts the ball into the box. Diop hits the bar. Nearly through it at the last minute. Vaughan clears long, but he's straight back to West Ham on halfway. And I don't know that we're going to be able to hang on here. West Ham have really come into it late on, and now they're on the front foot again into stoppage time. Fornals crosses. Still at the club after 10-11 years. Stevens finds Torres though. Can we nick it in stoppage time? On the counter-attack. Torres through. Already scored one. Goes alone. Great save. Great save and behind for a corner. I thought that was the moment. 2-1 might happen. I really hope so. If we can nick a late one here, I will be jumping out of my seat. Into the box. Oh, the keeper claimed it. Rob Simpson was ready there. He wanted to make it 2-1. But I'm afraid, Joe, you're the man with the right score. It is 1-1. West Ham Burnley. The unbeaten run starts again, so that's good. and hopefully the lads will build a bit of momentum from that. I think we've got the cup game up next, haven't we? Nottingham Forest at home. So a few of the younger players will get a game again. They did really well last time. Owen Edmonds out for a couple of weeks. So Dwight McNeil will start the next game in the league. And we'll just rush through that press conference. I'm tempted not to do them. I always feel like I'm cheating the game if I don't do the press conferences, because you'd normally do them as the manager. But I know, again, they're not the most entertaining to watch. But let's skip ahead. We're flying through. Thank you to Charlie, my podcast co-host. I can see you've just organised me another interview. Do appreciate it. Gregor Robinson, former Nottingham Forest player. That's a nice one to have on the books. Joe, spot on, well done. You should be celebrating. I think that's the first right score of the day, is it? From the two games. I'm sure no one predicted me to get battered 4-1. You're all being too nice to me early on. You should have had less faith in me. Jamie Higgins needs some fitness. Although we have got the cup game, haven't we? So do you know what? We'll make them all unavailable. What we can do, Dwight McNeil, we can save him midweek. Because Vinicius, with his work permit, he can't play in league games for the first team. But he can play in the cup games as he did last round. I'll see actually, will he take a new deal yet? Because it would be really good to get him involved. He will. Let's see what money he wants. We'll have to give him the squad duties he wants. So he wants £7,500 a week. We have to give him 8, otherwise he can't play in senior competitions. That's the mistake I made in the summer. Get rid of the minimum release. Get rid of the wage rise. Get rid of that as well. I'm very meticulous with the financial side. I don't know if it's just because it's part of my involvement at work as managing a business, but it really annoys me when players want all the extra add-ons that just take it up 20, 30, 40% every year. He doesn't want too much more. He's not been too greedy there, to be fair. So we'll give him a little bit of leeway. It's a long-term deal. 5 years, 8.25 grand a week, and then he'll be able to be on the bench for league games. That's what we want moving forward. El Gaming, how do you find your coaches on FM? I either do not who I know, adverts, or staff search. So, for any of my series generally, staff search is a thing that is banned. So I generally don't do that. What I do is, depending on the game, obviously in the head coach, I don't search for them. It's nothing to do with me. It's the director of football. In the one club story with Dorking or a save like this, what I'll normally do is either put out adverts or I will go to the players that are the staff members, who are recommended in the backroom advice report. So as natural, you get it every 2 or 4 weeks, I think, where they come and give you a report of people who might be worth joining the club, worth promoting from youth team to senior team. So I change that to every week when I'm doing the one club series. And then I just get recommendations of coaches, scouts, physios, sports scientists constantly. And go for the best ones or the ones who are cheapest in the lower leagues. So that's normally my main way. We do put out adverts alongside them, but normally actually the people the backroom team find, if you've got a good director of football or a good assistant manager, they'll normally actually find better people than will apply from the scout reports, particularly in the lower league. From the adverts, in the lower leagues. So that's normally the way I do it as a result. Thank you to everyone who's joining along again. The number of views still creeping up. We're past the half-hour mark now. 2 games in. You've missed a defeat and a draw. An embarrassing defeat against Tottenham. That was at home as well, I think, wasn't it? Yep, 4-1 defeat at home. And then back with a draw away at West Ham ahead of a Carabao Cup tie against Nottingham Forest. So a good start to the morning. We'll do another 3 games. Depending on how long they take, we'll then play through the international break as well and just talk about a few things off the pitch. If not, we'll end it after the Chelsea match. I don't want to keep you for too long this morning. Hour and a half sort of seems a good sort of time for me. Just gives us time to have a chat, a little break from any work or school distractions we've got. And a chance to have a bit of a breather from the news, the scary world, and all of the bits that keep getting talked about. Unfortunately, the positives don't get highlighted too much in the media, despite there being a lot of goodwill in the world. But let's move along. We're back for the Wednesday game. Higgins happy to stay, not sure why. Because we're not going to play him, and we've told him as much. But let's have a look at the team for today. We're going to make a lot of changes. We do it every time for the Cup. So, get your predictions in as always. You might want to change it once you've seen the team I pick. At left back, we'll bring in Winslade. Furlong, the experienced right back in. Bonner will get the rest today. We didn't do that for the last round. Coleman and Fabio centre half. I don't know who wants to play on the right. I think they both do, to be brutally honest. Coleman's played on the left more, so he can go there today. Into midfield, we've got Craig Robinson. We've got Paul Richards. Number 10, we have got Glenn Stevens. Where's Harrott? Is he back yet? I don't really want to play Stevens if Harrott isn't going to be fit. Let's have a look at him. He's now got an injury for 1 to 5 days. So Stevens might have to play the weekend. I can't get rid of that fully fit thing. It's causing havoc in there. Right, technical glitch is over. Let's go and have a look. Up front, Trevor O'Callaghan. What we'll do then is we'll play Leon Lowry off the right. We'll play Vinicius off the left. We'll play Vaughan in central midfield. Robinson in the defensive role, wherever he was, Craig Robinson. And then we'll play Paul Richards in the number 10. Whitehouse will be on the bench. Andy May will be on the bench. Glenn Stevens, Dwight McNeil, who's again playing at the weekend. Jamie Higgins. And defensively, we've got Ian Wardley and Flauhaut or Simpson. Let's go Simpson. He's the homegrown player. So that's the squad we've gone for. It's much changed. What do you think the score will be? Let me know down in the comments. L Gaming's gone 1-0. Joe's gone 2-1. Both for Burnley wins. I appreciate the optimism yet again. It's the first time you've all gone for a Burnley win. So let's see if we can go and get it. We'll adapt the tactic when we get into the match. And if Jack Vaughan has a good game today, he will display Saucy Robinson in the team. So 4-2-3-1 for Forest. They've got a couple of our former pros. Sebastian Millet, number 10. Liko Giannis is the striker. He's not good enough. He's not played for them. So that suggests that Forest are resting a lot of players. And that bodes very well for us with our young team. So we're going to encourage the lads. Hopefully they'll do well. We're going to push Leon Lowry as an inside forward on attack, which is his preferred duty out there. Vinicius, winger on attack. No issue with that. And Winslade, you can be on support. So I think that's what we're going to stick with for now. Craig Robinson, I think, prefers to be a central midfielder. So we're going to put him in there. And let's get into the first half. Craig Robinson deserves his chance. I trust Lowry and Fabio's good to go. Fingers crossed we get a victory. Let me know what you think's going to happen. Craig, did I like the City ground? Yes, very much so. Obviously, I went with Craig and Charlie for a podcast for the Luton game in January. We did a match day vlog, which again did absolutely incredibly. Unfortunately, Simon Sluga threw one in the back of his net that day, but it was a brilliant ground, really old school. In fact, both of those grounds in the Midlands that I've been to, Forest and Derby. I know that the other opposing fans, won't like me saying it, but both grounds, absolutely love them. I thought they were brilliant. What did you think of it? Did you enjoy it as well? A really good atmosphere as well, which I liked. Vaughan with the switch to the left. We've got an early chance here. Winslade to Vinicius. Oh, he's rattled the post. What an effort that was by the kid. And it's out for a corner kick. Thank you again to everyone who's joining along. I know I say it quite a lot in the morning, but you don't know how much I appreciate it. So Tuesday morning, it's not a peak time. So to have so many of you here is really great. If you are new along or you're just joining in, you've missed a couple of games, but there will be a full stream replay after, as Fabio puts one in the keeper's arms. If you are new along though, please do put a thumbs up on it. It does make such a difference. It helps people find the stream, and it helps the channel grow, and it helps our community grow, which I really appreciate. So thank you again for your incredible support. And hopefully this young Burnley side can reward us with a goal now. Here's Richards, lovely through ball. Lowry's in off the right, that's a chance. Why did he cut it back? There was no one in there, he had to shoot. In the end, we had another one of those poor bobbled clearances, and another one from the keeper now to Jack Vaughan. Here's Richards, 25 yards out. Have a go. He does, it's very tame into the keeper's arms. And it remains 0-0, but we're completely on top. Not a surprise, we're a good side. Even the youngsters are a very good team here. But with half an hour gone, we haven't got a reward for it. Long ball forward. Good interception, Coleman. Well done, good defending. Great football in the middle. I mean, it's really fluid stuff. Lowry beats two. Richard shots blocked. We're just playing really nice 1 and 2 touch football. We're playing through them really well. It's exactly what we want to see from a young team. Here's Vinicius cutting in from the left. Finds Winslade on the overlap. He's got another man inside him, and it's Vinicius again. Taking on his fullback. Cuts inside him. Chance to shoot here. Straight at the keeper though. Just haven't got that ruthlessness or that clinical edge in front of goal. But definitely a very good performance so far. Craig, you like the City ground as well. Good to hear. L Gaming, what's the worst own goal you have ever seen in live football? Mine was Wrexham Chesterfield November time. He had a free header, the keeper called for it and he just headed it in. That's always one of the questions I find hardest to answer. I can't remember too many own goals. I'm trying to think. I mean, there have been some awful ones for Luton over the year. I remember a couple of comical ones, but I can't think of one that springs to mind. And he gets away with it. That's remarkable. Thank you to everyone joining along again. Do appreciate your support. Get involved down in the chat if you're new along. If it's your first time here, do subscribe to the channel. There's plenty of content on here. And I guess looking at those stats at half time, the only question is, how on earth are we not ahead? We're going to tell the lads it's disappointing. We agree with the assistant. Of course it's disappointing it's 0-0, but I'm not quite sure how it is. But into the second half, 5 gone, and it's still 0-0 at the moment. Got a couple of lads looking anxious. That's a bit of a worry as well. We're going to demand more. Try and get them focused. It has made no impact at all. That is scary. I'm really worried by the nerves there. O'Callaghan's not had a good game, so let's replace him with Andy May. We've got Craig Robinson on a booking. He'll be replaced by Glenn Stevens. Richards dropping into midfield. He'll be a deep line playmaker on support. That's our usual duty. And then Vinicius on the left wing can be replaced by Whitehouse. We'll get the youngsters on. And Whitehouse will go a bit further forward. So we've done this before. Winger on attack. And hopefully, with those three pushing forward, we'll have a bit more attacking intensity. So I'm going to ask the lads if they can to show some passion. Not quite sure why it's paused there. But 20 to go. Let's see if we can get into it. Let me know what you think of the performance so far. Okay, I mean, he left Wrexham after that. I'm not surprised. The worst own goals always do. But then some of the great centre-halves, like Jamie Carragher, Richard Dunn in the Premier League era, really consistent pros. And they're top of the own goal record. The one I remember on TV, actually, was, I think it was Lauren Koscielny. Was it against Blackburn in a really high-scoring game? Oh, we nearly went behind there. In a really high-scoring game, and a cross came in, he sliced it with his left foot, and it just went past the keeper in the corner. But live in the flesh, I can't remember. And this is what I haven't thought about at 0-0. We've got to penalties, and I haven't got any penalty takers on the pitch. So Lowry first, Richards, Fabio, May, Whitehouse. I mean, they're all young lads. There's a lot of pressure on them. Glenn Stevens. Ooh, we're going to go Winslade, Coleman, Furlong and Grondona. But I tell you what, this young 18-year-old keeper has got a chance to be a real hero here. And who thought we were getting a penalty shootout today? Collett steps up first for the visitors. Into the corner, great penalty. Keeper went the right way, but you can't get to those. Lots of power, into the corner. Perfect pen. Leon Lowry, can he do the same for us? Left-footed, steps up. Into the corner, brilliant, well drilled. Two very good penalties to start the shootout from two young players. McEachran up next. Chance for him. Can Grondona become a hero? He can't. I mean, he dived a bit late there. It wasn't the best pen, but it had power on it and it was low. That's all you can ask for. And now to 18, 19-year-old Phil Richards. Can he put it in? He can't. Save down to his right. This channel, the last couple of months, a story of botched penalty shootouts. Riderston for Forest, and now we need the goalkeeper. And, he saves it. Straight down the middle. He started to dive one way, but managed to get back onto an even footing. And what a save that's turned out to be. And we've now got the Brazilian centre-half, Fabio. Oh, for goodness sake, he's put it straight down the middle as well. This is not how we were hoping the penalty shootout to go. Dowling's got the chance. Into the corner. We're going out to Forest here. We are going out, definitely. L Gaming 5-3. I'm afraid not. I'm afraid not at all. I mean, this has been an absolute disaster. Andy May has to score. Otherwise, we're already losing. And the chance of us actually doing it now is very low. D-Gamer, hello, welcome along. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you being here again. I know you popped up last week as well. Unfortunately, you're joining just as we're about to go out on penalties, I think. We need a very unusual set of circumstances to stay in this. We need Grondona to save one, or McDade to miss, and we then need to score ours as well. And we've not got a good penalty taker left. McDade's going to take this, and it's saved. Grondona's done his bit. I'm getting lively now. Grondona has done his bit. 2 penalty saves. And who was it who was 5th? Was it Vaughan? No, it's Whitehouse. Oh, he's barely played for the club. He's not even a good finisher, I don't think. Finishing 10, penalties 8, composure 10. Oh, this isn't going to finish well, is it? Oh, let me know. Score or miss? What will he do? What will Carl Whitehouse do? Left-footed, steps up. Oh, that is so tame. I mean, if the keeper wasn't there, I don't know if that would have even crossed the goal line. It was that weak. It was an absolutely awful, abject penalty. We're out to Nottingham Forest of the Championship. We dominated the match. How we didn't win it in 90, I do not know. But unfortunately, not the case. El Gaming 5-3. I'm afraid not to us, though. Wouldn't have been the score to us. But as it is, Nottingham Forest throw on penalties, and that is disappointing. Don't forget, the objective of this series, a homegrown 11 to win a cup competition. A chance to go on runs early on would help us financially, but as it is, it's not to be. The Carabao Cup run is over shortly. Does mean we can get through this first season quicker and hopefully then build a fully homegrown side for the second year. The Gamer, I wish you were right. I wish you were right, because that was the worst penalty I've seen. Sorry to be the bad luck curse. I wouldn't worry about that too much, because if you missed the first game against Tottenham earlier on, you'll know that you weren't the bad luck person. It was already well and truly here. You can catch up with that one later in the full stream replay. The good news, Vinicius has signed a new deal and it's enough money that he can now play in the senior squad. O'Callaghan's now happy to stay as well. So actually off the pitch, he's turning into a pretty good week. Where is Vinicius there? Can't see him. There he is. Yep, so he's in. He can play now. But not the best start to this episode. As you say, it's the League Cup. It doesn't really matter. But as I mentioned, it is something in the next year or two. It's probably our best chance at succeeding in this story once we get to a full homegrown 11. When is the first cup game? I presume you mean FA Cup game. Is that what you meant? The FA Cup game, normally the first one in January for us. But yeah, we're going to have to go on a run in it. And again in January, don't forget, we'll be gradually taking the next step towards going to homegrown. So we'll probably sell on 1 or 2 more of the ones that aren't. We'll probably promote another 1 or 2 into the squad. It's a continuing, evolving thing. In 2 years' time, I want to have a squad here that is fully homegrown. Or at least an 11 plus 3 or 4 extras. We've got to our first save point, so we've got a minute to talk nonsense. What I will do at this point is thank everyone for coming along again. It's great to see the number of viewers creeping up. I know normally around 11 it gets a little bit improved. Because obviously people are out of bed, people who aren't working or are doing their schoolwork or work at home have got a chance to come along. So thank you so much to all of you that are joining along. I really do appreciate it. Please put a thumbs up if you're new along. Come and join in the community. There's some brilliant people down in the chat. Come and join the regulars. Get involved. It's a welcoming place here. Yes, I meant the FA Cup. Yeah, so the first game's not till January for that. Hopefully we'll get a good run. But to be honest, with this side, we're having to play the reserves, so we know it's going to be tougher. They need to get experience. What we really needed last year was to get that Europa Cup 2 place, because then we could have been playing the youngsters on a Thursday night against Bulgarian opposition, for example. But unfortunately, due to the FA Cup being won by mid-table sides, we lost out on our European place despite finishing 7th, which unfortunately is harming a lot of our youngsters this year, because they're only getting under 23 football. We're flying through to the next game now. How many players are you off a full homegrown 11? Not many, actually. There's a couple that haven't quite got into the first 11 yet. So the likes of Lowry and Vaughan who are on the bench. We've got the likes of Harrott and Richards who will become homegrown, but they're a year or 2 off it. And obviously the 18-year-olds we signed this summer all will become homegrown. But we've still got Sunday Balogun. He's not homegrown. Flauhaut, Torres. And are there any others? Our left back Wardley, but we've got a new one, don't forget, coming in January. Graham Ruffin. And it will join at 18 and will become homegrown. So we're not a million miles away. We've got a few there. Is the Europa Conference a thing happening in real life? Yes. So it was due to start this summer for this season. I don't think it will now because obviously with most leagues being cancelled, particularly those ones lower down the pyramid or lower down the coefficient ranking, like, for example, even the Dutch and French league were cancelled. So there are ones further down that have been. I don't know how they'd be able to award those places. So I'd imagine it will probably get delayed a year. But yes, it's definitely something that happens in real life. So there'll be one team from each of the bigger leagues. So like the England, Germany, Spain, Italy, France, probably Portugal, Holland as well. And then the idea is that there's then one or two from the lower coefficient teams as well. So those sort of middle of the road ones. So we talked about the Dorking save actually. Scottish teams were doing really well in it. Russian teams, Ukrainians, Croatians, those sort of middle of the road leagues. It just gives them a chance to play proper European football. We've got takeover talk. Wasn't that long ago, was it? So, I mean, it's not too big now. We're not doing many transfers, but yeah, that's going to be a bit of a spanner in the works if it happens around January. You asked for someone to remind you about swapping a player. Yeah, I'll definitely be up for swaps as well. There's no problem with that. I mean, we've got a few here who are probably good candidates for that. I mean, Sunday Balogun, he's going to unfortunately have to go after this year. But if a Chinese club comes in January and offers 50, 60 million, the way he's playing at the moment and the way Leon Lowry's playing and the fact Trevor O'Callaghan's ranked better, I probably just have to let them in. I nearly went into the Stoke game with the reserve side out there. That would have been a slight incident, but we've still saved it in time. Thank you to everyone joining along. The game, I'm trying to do something similar with Bilbao, but just trying to sign as many youngsters as possible. So I know Bilbao's harder. Do they still have the Basque rule there? I think I did it about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe when Ika Muniain was first coming through. And you could only sign players from the Spanish and French Basque regions. I don't know if that's still a thing at Bilbao. I'm sure I vaguely remember them signing someone from outside it. So if it's not still a rule, let me know. But if it is, then that's one of the brilliant challenges. I'd love to do it. But for me, I don't know that I've got the patience here. And I don't really like starting with top clubs. And I know Bilbao are a very good side already around Europe. And I think that would make it a bit too easy for us. But absolutely, definitely a great challenge over a 5-10 year period. But for me, looking for a 20-year long-term series, maybe something I could do as a stream, something like that. Obviously, my favourite one before used to be the San Marino one, but unfortunately, the club dissolved. So that favourite one for many FM players has now gone. I'm completely losing focus and forgetting who my normal first 11 is here. Dwight McNeil will be making his first debut for the club. Second full debut for the club. I am all over the place this morning. I had a long day at work yesterday, you can probably tell. Let's have a look at the middle. How did Jack Vaughan play in that cup game? He got a 7, so do you know what? Jack Vaughan's coming in. Ossie Robinson drops out. He'll play alongside Vinicius Xavier, the usual central mids. He's another one we've got to get out actually. I forgot him off the other list, Vinicius Xavier. Don't know how much he's worth now. He was signed for about that. So if we can get that money back, then no problem. Number 10, Harrott's still not fit. So it's either Richards or Glenn Stevens. I think we'll go Stevens. And then, of course, Balogun up front. I don't know if we can go and criticise him yet. If we go and warn him, no, we can't. He needs to have 5 games, I think, without scoring. And then we can go and criticise him. Fabio's on the bench. He'll become homegrown. Winslade will possibly... Craig Robinson. Let's try and keep all of the homegrown players on the bench. So Richards, Lowry. We've got Trevor O'Callaghan. I'll put Vinicius on there today. And we'll also have Ossie Robinson just in case. So that's our bench. 6 of the 7 will or are homegrown. Will be or are homegrown, sorry. And that's how we'll go moving forward. L Gaming, I meant you said for us to say about swapping the player. Oh, sorry. I told you a minute ago, I'm all over the place this morning. I'm miles off the things. So apologies if I'm not making much sense today. I appreciate you putting up with me. And we'll try as the morning goes on to gradually get a bit more coherent. Let's go to the tunnel interview. Into the first half. Can we get a result against Stoke? They've got a very early chance with Maitland-Niles. Free kick in. Oh, that was a bad start. Carrillo heads just wide. And Jack Vaughan picks it up. No chance to counter though. The highlight ends. And Stoke another mid-table side. So we've got to try and get a result here. Kerr picks it up. Maitland-Niles again. It's been a very good start from the home team. Looks like a packed house at Stoke as well. Another ground I visited for the first time this year actually. So for Carl, I went to watch Stoke Luton on a Tuesday night. It's a really good ground. Unfortunately, the atmosphere wasn't great then. Michael O'Neill had just taken over. Unfortunately, we were brilliant for the first half hour. We dominated the game. Stoke scored and we collapsed. It was a 3-0 defeat. And we are behind here as well. Josh Tyman, the man who is there in real life. has scored a goal against us and he's beaten the keeper at the near post. It is disastrous. What an awful start, actually. Sunday Balogun with a corner. Chance to get back on terms. Stevens up. Torres in. Volleyed over. 6 yards out. Had to do better. That's not great. El Gaming, they still have that rule. De Gamer, yes. So, yep, they still have the rule with the best players. That's definitely made it more attractive for me. Worrell into the box to Holm. Oh, it's 2. Summerskills dropped it right under him. We're going to have to drop to balanced. What on earth is going on this morning? We were brilliant last week. We can't get a win for love nor money now. How about a Liechtenstein save with Vaduz? Yeah, I've looked at that as well, actually. Have they decided, am I right in saying Vaduz are the side that play in the Swiss league system? But I think there's a rule. I remember it from one of the other streams, not one of the other streams, one of the blogs on the community forum. I'm sure that they can only, because they're classed as a Liechtenstein side, they can only qualify for the Europa League 2 and can't ever qualify for the Champions League. If I've got the completely wrong side and I'm mixing it up, then just let me know. But if it is the side in the Spanish league, I think that was the thing that used to put me off. In the Swiss league, sorry. That's the one that used to put me off, is they couldn't ever qualify for the Champions League. So let me know if that's right or not. But that's certainly one, again, I'd be open to in the future. I think there's one with a Spanish side that have got a bit of a link with Andorra as well. So I'll look at that moving forward too. The game, a fun fact, my board went insane this summer and signed a 16-year-old keeper for 21 million. He's going to be good, but I felt it was a bit much. I mean, as you know, I've suffered that myself in the Director of Football Challenge here. We've had it with Burnley, even Vinicius this summer, 32 million. I thought that's a bit much. Or the summer before, sorry. So I feel your pain on that one. The Director of Football Challenge. I mean, even when you're playing in the National League North and South and they spend all of your remaining wage budget on one striker when you've already got 2 good ones, and you're sitting there saying, I haven't got a left back in the squad. I've got 1 goalkeeper. And all you've done, as we go 3-0 down, and all you've gone and done is sign a player in a position we've already got. And that's something I find a bit harder. But Bilbao, you'd expect the Director of Football to do a bit better. We're going to go attacking here. I mean, it's half-time. We're 3-0 down. It is an embarrassing performance. And we're starting to have one of those little sticky spells. So the first season might be a bit harder than we anticipated. We're going to run at defence, be more disciplined. Distribute to fullbacks. We've got everything else on. There's not much more we can do. We just need to hope for a response. Vaughan's not got the worst rating, so we can't blame bringing him in. But otherwise, I don't know what's happened there. Thank you to everyone joining along. Thank you for getting involved in the chat. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you're new along. And come and get involved. We're having a good time despite the problems on the pitch. El Gaming, have you found a way to fix the training facility problem? No, the Dawkins save's still the same. The one hope I have got, and I'll give you a slight teaser going into season 14 over the next week, there is talk of a board takeover. Thankfully, it came after I'd done the transfer window and the special. But there is talk of that. So I'm hoping now, if we can get a new board in or a new contract just after that, that I'll make part of that asking if we can get training facilities as part of me being agreeing to sign a new deal. So if we can get that across the line, I think that's the only way. And if that option doesn't show, then we have to put it down to a glitch. Because they're below average and everything else we can keep improving state of the art. So it seems like a bit of a strange one. Here's Simpson to Xavier. Can we get a goal at least? Long ball forward and no one's there at all. Stoke clear at long forward. Stenson picks it up. Into the box alone. I mean, there's no defence. There is no defence at all. And it is 4. How are the ratings still so good there? And how are we playing this badly? The gamer, yes, Swiss second division. They can only qualify for the Liechtenstein Cup. Yeah, I knew there was something funny about it. Can only qualify for the Europa League, but you have to win the Europa League to get in the Champions League. So that's the thing with Vaduz. If you then win the Europa League, can you then get into it still? Or does it have that restriction because you're from Liechtenstein? Because if you can then do that, you can qualify for the Europa League or Europa League 2 through the Liechtenstein Cup. And then you can get in, you can win the Europa League 2, qualify for the Europa League, win the Europa League, qualify for the Champions League. I'd absolutely love a save like that because that'd be a brilliant challenge. I don't know if I'd be able to do it as a Youth Academy one, but I'd definitely be up for giving it a go. I often used to do it with the Welsh League teams as McNeil. Oh, he's missed a sitter. Could have been his first goal back for the club. That is such a shame. He should have scored that. But yeah, I'd love to do a challenge like that. I've tried it with the likes of TNS and Bangor over in Wales. I think I've mentioned before. So it's definitely something I'd be up for doing in the future. It was the board, not even the director for the goalkeeper. I tell you what, that week or two before the director of football comes in the head coach, where you've got the board in charge of transfers and contracts, you see some bizarre stuff. I mean, some of the staff they sign is bordering on hilarious. We're going to give Vinicius his league debut for McNeil, who has struggled a bit and just missed that chance. Which other youngster should we bring on? I think Phil Richards. He can come on for Vinicius Xavier. Let's try and build towards a homegrown team and see if they do any better. Stoke now 5-0 up, of course. It's been absolute one-way traffic throughout, and we're going to ask the lads to show some passion, knowing nothing's going to change. Oh, that's brilliant. If you can get to if you can with Vaduz in Liechtenstein, if you can get to the Europa League and Champions League, then that's brilliant. I'd definitely be up for that. I'm gutted for you, but well done, Stoke. I thought you'd be happy with that one, but yeah, it's not been a great performance, to say the least. I'm not quite sure where it's come from, this and the Tottenham game, because even last season we were so solid. In the Championship, we were the least goals conceded of any team in the league. So the last 2 years have been very good defensively. It is exactly the same back five. Bonner and Furlong rotated last year, that's a given, but otherwise it's the same team pretty much. Richards into Stevens. Come on, let us get a goal. Over to Torres. Lowry's in there. Get one for the youngster. No, out to Vaughan. Vaughan to Stevens. Over the bar. Can't wait for Ashley Harrott to be back. Charlie, thanks for getting involved in the comments. Another Charlie along. Thank you for getting in. L Gaming, I've done that with TNS before. Yeah, I really liked it with the Welsh sides, I've got to be honest. Because you get a lot of the English players across as well. So I think I might do that in a future year on the channel. I know those sort of saves, they don't get as many views. They're not as popular. A bit like the Dorking one. Because it's a one-club save. It's with a smaller club. And it's with a club in a smaller nation that's not England. You often get that. But it's something I love to do. So the head coach is sort of my YouTube save. And the other one is my just for a bit of fun. The personal one. Charlie Damon. I've won Europa 2, Europa League and Champions League with Dorking. Wow. Not played on from there, even though I've not won the Premier League yet. Wow, you've done well to win the Champions League before the Premier League. I mean, in my game, I've got 3 brilliant sides at the top of the Premier League. We've had a couple of years in there now, mid-table level. I've done really well, actually, to not be in the relegation shout, but we're still getting the odd awful defeat. We've got a really big summer transfer special coming up on Friday, where hopefully we can improve the side to become European contenders. So that's sort of the hope moving forward. But yeah, I've really found Dorking a challenge. Although compared to Torquay, we're only really a year behind progress. I guess the difference is once we got to the Premier League with Torquay, we started to succeed a lot more quickly. Because we had better facilities, a bigger club, a bigger budget. We were able to build a side that could compete in the domestic cups. So we then went on and won FA Cups and Carabao Cups beforehand. So that's probably the big difference, where we haven't got that squad now. Charlie, you're in 2029. You're doing much better than me. I'm in 2032, 33? Must be 32, summer 32. Obviously, as I mentioned though, I make it harder for myself. I don't have the player search or the staff search screen in use. So for me, I'm always using just the scout reports or the player knowledge that pop up naturally. We've dropped down to the bottom half after that defeat. We've got the worst goal difference in the top 14. And there's starting to be a few concerning signs. I mean, next up is Chelsea. That isn't going to be any easier, but they've not had the best start either. I'm sure the dynamics will be dropping back down again. Down to average now. Jonah, good morning. Welcome along. Thanks for popping along again. I mean, thank you all for getting involved in the chat. It's the first morning where I felt I can't really keep up with it, which is absolutely incredible. It's a huge compliment to you guys. I do appreciate your support. L Gaming, is there anyone in the team we've got as a Wonderkid? In this team, I'm not sure. Let's have a look at the under-21s. We'll just go through them very quickly. Obviously, I'll leave the ones out who I know aren't. Whitehouse won't be. Harrod, no. Fabio, no. Grondona, I think, is. Yep, so the young goalkeeper at 18, he is. Vinicius, no. Phil Richards, no. None of the English ones are, I don't think. Neither is Callum Bonner. Leon Lowry, no. And Jack Vaughan's last, I don't think he is either. No, so just the one, and it's the backup goalkeeper. So probably not quite the answer you're hoping for. I mean, with Dorking, we've got 1 or 2 as well. I've really enjoyed that. Getting a few Wonderkids in. Ryan Lima's had the season of his life last time out. So that's been really good as well. Bear with me, I'm just keeping up with the chat. We skip ahead to the next week. We've not got a midweek game this time, so we can get some of the under-23 some fitness. Higgins is in there anyway, but then those backup ones, Andy May, Carl Whitehouse, we don't want to stunt their development. And the young goalkeeper too. Let's get all of those in. And let's get back to the chat, shall we? Thank you all of you for joining along, getting involved. I do appreciate it. We're eventually catching up. Virgin Media is a little bit behind on the chat, so I'm not quite up to date with it, but I will get there in a minute or two. So just bear with me and I'll catch up with it. Let's have a look at how we're getting on. There we go. It's just coming back now. Apologies if we did have a little dip for a second there. I mentioned at the start I couldn't promise the internet would hold out. And I lost you for about a minute, I think. So thank you for everyone coming along and putting a thumbs up on it. And hopefully in a second it will be back to smooth sailing. Let's have a look at the messages we've got there. Charlie, I started with Dorking as I knew one of their players, but sold him before the end of the first season. I bet he didn't forgive you for that. Which player did you know? It was quite interesting actually, because I started with Dorking. I think one of the under-18s came, or one of the old under-18s came and got involved in the first few episodes. We had a little wage glitch. I don't know if you had it as well. Depends if you started after the January update or not. Two of the youngsters in the under-18s were on 3,800 a week. And one of the former young players assured me that they weren't on that in real life. Which I'd pretty much assumed, but it was a relief to know as well. L Gaming, I've also been looking forward to this save all last week. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. I'm really enjoying the content at the minute. I know my style's changed a bit. It's much more natural now. And a few people have gone away from that because they like the more high-octane stuff. But for me, I find it a bit more relaxing. So I'm really glad to see that you're enjoying it. Charlie Betts, sorry if you have been asked this before. Which save has been your most satisfying? I have to say, I think I maybe mentioned it before. Probably Torquay in FM19. Just as a one-club series, I had a bit of a soft spot for them. Most people my age grew up with Soccer AM, so obviously Helen Chamberlain supported them, so you often found out a bit about them, which you wouldn't normally for League 2 and National League clubs. So when they dropped down, Gary Johnson was in charge, a manager I quite like as well. It all just sort of fell together, so taking charge of them and leading them through the leagues, and the players we had, the way we built it, the support it garnered from people, Torquay fans were getting involved, I really loved it. So for me, that's probably just my favourite on camera so far. But ever, don't know, I've had some crackers. I mean, Basingstoke in FM14 I took to the Premier League. Never got to the stage where I won a title. And I had a San Marino one in FM15 where I got 24, 25 years in. We got to the last 16 of the Euros. The last 8 of the Euros, the last 16 of the World Cup. We got to Division B of the Nations League and won it a couple of times and then got relegated again. And we had some proper world-class players. We had 2 of the top 3 in the Ballon d'Or at one stage. It's just a shame that half the other team was still rubbish. But there were some great memories from that one. I wish it had been my first YouTube save because it would have been amazing. But that's what it is. So that's probably my favourite. What I will do one day in the future, I'll see if it's still on the old laptop. So I'll go and find some of my favourite saves and just show you where they finished. Because that's something I'd really like to do. Charlie Damon, JJ O'Sullivan was the player, you know. I think I might have sold him as well, actually. Go back and let me know. Or if it's before the January update, was he there? Not sure. I'm pretty sure I did sell him, though. So if he wasn't, I don't remember him too well. He definitely wasn't there in the second season onwards. So if he was there, I definitely sold him first year. So I can only apologise to him as well. We've got a game in 2 days' time against Chelsea. As we mentioned, probably will be the last one of the episode today. But we will go along through the 2 weeks and look at some of the bits you'd requested. So mentoring, training, and get ahead to the next game as well. L Gaming, are you going to do a Wrexham save next year? So I'm not intending to do a one-club series or anything with Wrexham. Unless, potentially, I mean, one of the things was they were in the relegation battle, weren't they? And if they'd gone down, I definitely would have done one from the bottom playable league. But obviously promotions and relegations are debatable at this stage. And Wrexham had just about got themselves out of it, I think. So I'm not planning to do that. But obviously the same applies as usual to the head coach. If we get offered a job and it's up the ladder and it's a realistic move to go to Wrexham, then I'm more than happy to go there. So a really big club by non-league standards, I'm more than happy to be involved. So you better hope that their chairman offers me a job. So get on the phone to him in the FM universe of FM21. Thank you to everyone still joining along. Great to see so many of you popping out. I appreciate it on a Tuesday morning, 11 AM. It's great to have so many of you here. So thank you for your support. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you're new along. I really do appreciate you getting involved. And hopefully Despite the odd little Virgin Media issue, we will be able to get through this last game unscathed. I am tempted, or I am sort of aware I need to do a slightly shorter one today. I'm not too reliant on the internet. I think we've only had one little dropout so far, so hopefully it's not affected your viewing experience too much. But the chat's been absolutely fantastic this morning, so thank you to everyone getting involved. It's still only my 5th ever live stream, I think, so I'm definitely an amateur to this. So if you're new along thinking, what on earth is he babbling on about, or why is he doing this? That's probably your answer. This is my 5th live stream, and to be honest, I feel really comfortable and really natural doing it already, which is great and a testament to you guys and your support. Let's get through to the Chelsea game. Probably continue our slide down the table, I'm afraid. But at the moment, all is looking pretty well in the world. Let me just go and have a look at the comments on my phone, because unfortunately, on the PC, they're just dropping off a little bit. So let's get down on the chat. Try and keep up to date with you guys. Oh, thank you for all the comments. I do appreciate it. JJ Sullivan was a right back. That will answer the question then. I think at the start of the save, I sold all of the right backs that were at the club. I think I let them all go, or I might have let a couple rot in the reserve. So I apologise if that was him as well. I can't remember who I signed right back. I signed Paul Konchesky left back. Or was there one good right back at the club who was rated really well? Can't remember. L Gaming, yes. Get the Wrexham chairman involved. Charlie, I'm now managing Iraklis in Greece. Wow. That's a big one. I did have a really good save in Greece a few years ago, actually. I think that might have been FM15 or 16 as well. We had one with Asteras Tripolis. That, I tell you why we went there. They just signed Velios from Everton, a young striker, who had been a decent young player over here. And it was a really tempting one for me, just to go to a club that I didn't know and a league I didn't know, but with players I knew. And at the time, Olympiakos had a good side. AEK Athens were just coming back. Panathinaikos were a decent team as well. So there were lots of positives at the club. I really enjoyed that little stint. We're going to take Craig Robinson off the bench. Dwight McNeil back in. Ashley Harrott not quite fit enough yet, so I'll leave him one more week. But I think that's going to be the only change today. Stevens will stay in attacking midfield and we'll get into the game. L Gaming, it's fan owned, so should be more easy. Yeah, I mean, that's the ideal. Fan owned clubs are generally the best. I've talked to people who have been part of fan owned clubs, so we had an interview with Matt Cecil, who's the head of media at Wickham. He was a young director when they were fan owned and taken over in financial trouble. Obviously at Luton we're really lucky. We've got fans that are in charge of the club. Gary Sweet, the chief executive. So it does make such a difference. I think Pompey's a good example of one recently as well, where the fans got involved and helped save them. And there's lots. I mean, when you get down to non-league, there's so many of them. It's one of the best parts of non-league football. You get managers and communities that are there for a long time rather than just the business side purely, which is what most people think about now. Into the box, we nearly go ahead after 2 minutes. Great start, but it's headed over the bar. Iraklis got relegated to the 5th tier for financial reasons. They're amateur when you start and have a good reputation. So that's the sort of one I love. That was sort of Torquay in FM19. They'd been relegated to the lowest playable league, but still had that League 2/National League reputation. I love ones like that, so I'm certainly on board with things like that. I tend to look out as well when you see clubs drop down the leagues, and then you can take over one and save the day. Jonah, started my AFC Filed Road to Glory last week, got 4 promotions in a row, and now in the Championship with a minimal budget. That is absolutely incredible. I really enjoyed Filed, and I'll tell you the reason why. We went to non-league finals day last year, and it was the FA Vase and the FA Trophy. For anyone who's never been, it's a day out at Wembley. I'd recommend to everyone if you can go. It's £20 or £25 for the early bird ticket. You get to sit in the posher club Wembley seats. You get 2 live games. It's just a brilliant day out. 5-6 hours of football. I mean, luckily for us, the first game last year went to extra time, which made it even better because you had less of a break between the games. But 2 football matches, absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately, obviously, it ended up being Justin Edinburgh's last game before he passed away. So rest in peace to him, but a brilliant game. AFC Filed won it. Danny Rowe was there, the hero of the day. And then unfortunately became a bit of a villain this year, didn't he? L Gaming, Wrexham almost got their stadium sold. That's when they can. That's when they became fan owned, which is, by the way, the oldest international stadium in the world. I like little things like that. The racecourse, a really good ground actually. It's one I'd like to go to. I was a bit too young when they were playing against Luton in league basis. So if it ever happens again, or they get back into the Football League, it will become part of the 92 club, so I'll be chasing it then. But in this one, I'll tell you what, back to Football Manager, we've been playing really well in this game. I'm probably going to jinx it now as Chelsea come on the counter. But we've competed with a top side really well. Vinagre on the break, he has made him look ridiculous, Owen Edmonds. Into the box, good save from the first one, it's in the second time. Is he offside though? VAR will intervene here, I think he's off. It's Dele Alli as well. He is offside and the goal is ruled out. But a good performance so far. Thank you to everyone getting involved in the chat. Field's become harder now because of Danny Rowe. Absolutely. He was a superstar for them. Didn't really shine quite so much on FM usually though, because FM generally is biased towards quicker, more electric strikers in behind. But 20 minutes to go here and we're going to make some changes. Vaughan's going to be replaced by the more experienced Robinson. Edmonds is a bit tired, so we'll bring Dwight McNeil on. We're going to bring more experience on than usual today. Glenn Stevens in the number 10. Phil Richards on for him. Bit like for like. But other than that, experience off the bench. 15 to go. Things are looking pretty good. The number of viewers still creeping up. Thank you so much to everyone who's coming along. I do appreciate it. Please do put a thumbs up if you're new to the video. And if you have joined along late, there will be a full replay afterwards. So don't worry if you've missed anything. And it's largely been defeats today, I can assure you. He did miss a penalty shootout though as well. Danny Rowe was linked with Ipswich but moved to Oldham. Yeah, he was linked with Ipswich, I remember that. I'm a bit intrigued by the Ipswich situation because obviously they're one of those to miss out from the League One decision. Missing out on the playoffs. I'm quite interested to see what will happen in the summer there. I'm not convinced Paul Lambert will start next season. But I don't want to put all the blame on him. We mentioned this last week. I think there is a lot more that comes down to the board side than the manager. As Balogun's in, we nearly nicked the lead there. In at stoppage time, it would have been the perfect time to score. But now Chelsea have got a 2-on-2, and it would also be a sickening time to lose it. Ramos off the left into the box. Good tackle, Torres. As soon as he went to ground, I thought penalty, but he did really well there, the kid. Now we've just got to defend the corner. I'm going to take a sip of drink, and hopefully I won't spit it out when they score. It almost looks like they're time wasting. They still haven't taken it. That's a really strange one. Into the box. Torres heads away. Richards fouled. Godfrey does it. And that should be it. It should be a point against Chelsea. I'm glad you got my tweet last week. Yes, thank you for the support with that. It has been getting gradually a bit more active on Twitter. So thank you for those. You can follow it at FM Load. There's links there to all of the episodes as they release. And obviously the podcast channel as well, where we have interviews. I mean, it's been a dream the last few months. I've been interviewing professional footballers basically every week. And I mean, what more can you ask for as a football fan? It's been absolutely fantastic. At different levels in the professional game. Some from non-league, some from the women's game. We've had a women's international recently. Managers, coaches. It's just been incredible. So a really good point there. A good result. The lads are pleased. We're looking pretty good after a couple of abject performances. El Gaming, you're spot on with 0-0 there. Jonah, we must sack Paul Lambert. No passion. That's the thing I find the most weird. Because when he started out at Colchester and Norwich, and I mean, he was a brilliant manager playing great football then. And he had all the passion in the world. On the pitch, Dortmund, Celtic, he was a really passionate footballer, put himself about. I think it's the Villa spell that sort of took it out of him. He just seems a different man after that. He went to Villa, which was probably ill-advised, the same as Remy Gard. They were fighting a lost cause when they joined. They had an owner who wanted to sell. They weren't investing. Their squad was getting ageing, and they were selling on some of their best players. And then the same sort of happened at Stoke. He took over an impossible situation, and it's just like his confidence has gone. It happens with footballers, and I'm sure it can with managers too. The same, with Stoke and Villa. Then he's gone to Ipswich, another club where he can't spend. He's getting his best players sold. I honestly believe if he just dropped down a level or two, I know he might not want to, and went sort of National League, League 2, to a club where the board will let him manage the club, I really feel like he would get a new lease of life and come back up the leagues. I honestly believe down there he's a good manager, but I know that opinion from what you've seen wouldn't be really popular with Ipswich fans, and I understand why. I completely get it. But I honestly believe somewhere in there's a good manager, because his spells at the other clubs prove that. Let's put all these lads into the under-23s. We can do 90 minutes, because no one's involved now. There's no game for a week and a half. We've got the internationals. We'll get the youngsters in as well. But yeah, I do think there's a good manager somewhere in Paul Lambert, and there was certainly in the past. He was one of the people actually I mentioned for the Luton job. Jonah would love Neil Warnock. He'll get us out of trouble. See, you say that, and quite a lot of Luton fans did as well when that job came up, but it's a lot of money that you're investing in Neil Warnock. He doesn't necessarily leave the club with a squad that you can build around long term. He gets in his set experienced players, does his job, but doesn't necessarily leave the club in a better position with players that they can sell on in in future for more money and build that sort of model. So for League One and Championship, it is a gamble getting Warnock, but inevitably it normally brings success, so you can't argue with him. And again, he's someone I'd love to interview. El Gaming, which interview has been my favourite? My favourite, that's an interesting one. So my favourites are probably one of two. Tony Thorpe, because he was one of the first pros we had on. I think he was only the second pro after Chris Lyons from Northampton. And he was the first one who took the time to talk to us in detail. I mean, it was about 40 minutes in the end. For me as a Luton fan, I'm interviewing someone who scored 80, 90 goals for the club, who started the first ever game I went to watch there at Kenilworth Road. So that was really special, and he gave us so much time. He was so great with us. So that was a real favourite of mine for that reason. And the other one was Neal Wainwright. I mentioned it briefly last week. He was obviously a star for me in the first managerial game I had, which was LMA Manager 2003. He was incredible. He was playing in Division 3 for Darlington and was sort of Division 1 standard. So as a young petulant kid, I used to do the King Midas challenge, where you got 500 million and you could buy pretty much anyone who would be willing to join. So I used to get Alton Therwell from Tottenham. I used to get Matty Upson, who was young at Arsenal. And I used to get Neal Wainwright on the right wing. About 2.5, 3 million. And he was absolutely brilliant. He was a superstar, took us to the Premier League, and was even a backup player when you got to the Champions League. So to interview him was incredible. He was really detailed. He was brilliant with our fan base as well. He got involved on Twitter and on YouTube, responded to comments from everyone. And he was really honest as well about where his career didn't take the turn it perhaps should have, where he struggled with mentality going into bigger clubs, being that Wonderkid at Sunderland. And he talked honestly about where he struggled with it, and I found that really fascinating. In terms of the best interview, it probably has to be Anthony Sarcevic. It's one of the most recent ones, but it has taken off like nothing else with Plymouth fans. It came out, a week and a half ago, so the Friday before last. It's got 1,100 views, something like that. It's absolutely insane. And again, he was a really nice bloke, as have most of the footballers been, by the way. They get such a bad rap, but we've had so many on who have just been nice blokes. Reece Bennett from Peterborough, Joe Jacobson from Wickham. I'm sorry, I'm probably missing a few out as well who have been really nice blokes. Charlie had David Robertson, the real Kashmir manager, the old Rangers and Leeds fullback. He was great. Great stories of Sir Alex Ferguson and Gascoigne and all of those. That was incredible. It's just so many. I just love all of them. I'm speaking to footballers about their careers. It's incredible. So, yeah, it's hard to pick one out. But if I had to pick two, probably Thorpe and Wainwright. Thank you for everyone joining along again. I do appreciate it. It's great to see you all getting involved in the chat and getting along. It's great to see so many of you here again on a Tuesday morning. Thank you for all of the thumbs up. Please do put one on if you haven't already. And catch up with the stream replay afterwards. Oh, we've got an Icelandic 18-year-old. Please. Oh, his birthday's the 31st of December. One day later, and you could have been Callum Bonner's backup long term. Would have been great to have an Icelandic kid in there as well. Ashley Harrott's back in training and training well. That's good to see. We've got a week of the international break to go. We'll get through to the Leicester game. And then what we'll do is we'll have a quick look off the pitch at how players are progressing before we finish up. So if there's anyone's profile in particular you want to see in detail, then please do let me know. El Gaming, my phone might run out of battery. Don't worry about it. We've all been there. I appreciate you all joining along, giving up your Tuesday morning to spend an hour and a half for me. I've got no problems at all. I'm delighted to see you all here. And of course, you can catch up with anything you missed later on today on the channel. And there'll also be the head coach episode, 4:30, the usual video. It will be there. It's a big one as well. We're on a cup run with Borussia Mönchengladbach, our first season abroad. And I'm hoping it might end with a domestic trophy. But there's the small matter of Dortmund and Bayern Munich left. What else are we going to do in here? 60 minutes for him. 90 for the rest. Yep, I'm happy with that. Is there anyone else we can give football to? No more youngsters in there. So a really good season so far. We have had a few wobbly results today, but generally things have gone very well. And again, we're going to be about the hour and a half mark. So hopefully, if Virgin Media can hold on for 5 more minutes and give us internet, we should be all right. Got a few days to go. If there's any questions you want to know, please do let me know. And of course, after, you can get down in the comments of the video and let me know what you think or anything else you want to know. And we'll bring those things to next week's episode. We will look at mentoring in more detail next week. I want to have a look at the groups off camera quickly first, just to see how they're coming along and make some amendments before we talk about them. But otherwise, with 5 days to go until the Leicester game, who are flying by the way as well, I feel like we could potentially sneak back up into that top 7, top 8 race again. L Gaming, I'm supporting Liverpool in the Prem. Jonah, who am I supporting when it starts tomorrow? Not sure. I mean, I don't really support a club as such. As you say, there's always one where I find nothing. Actually, I'd like them to do well. So I mentioned it last week, I think. The first club I enjoyed watching was Chelsea because of Zola. Then Ipswich when they came up that season, they were brilliant. I think they had Martin Royce and Finidi George on the wings. I enjoyed watching them. Then I had the Bolton era under Sam Allardyce. The Arsenal team that was just oozing with quality football. There were so many good bits. I'm trying to think for now who I would want to do well. I mean, I guess the one this season that I've really enjoyed is Sheffield United. Not so much for the obvious reasons, which they've come up, they're flying as a first season Premier League side as an underdog. The thing I really love tactically is the overlapping centre halves. The back three with that sort of system is absolutely incredible. I mean, actually, a couple of players that we've spoken to in interviews going back to that have spoken about playing under Chris Wilder. So we've got one with John Shaw coming up, who I interviewed because he played for Luton. He had worked under Wilder for 1 year at Halifax and just said his tactical depth and the way he worked was incredible. And his individual man management, just exceptional. He knew his players. And he just said it's no surprise that he's now at his hometown club doing everything right and taking them to the top of the Prem. So it's really good to see that. Supporting tomorrow, so yeah, probably Sheffield United, I would say. Wolves, yeah, good side. Really enjoy watching them play, particularly in Europe this year. So that's probably, I'll follow Wolves in Europe because they're still in the Europa League. So what will happen with that, I don't know. They'll probably just do a mini knockout in the summer, in August. Be a replacement for the Euros for us. I can see Mbappe, sorry if I spoke wrong, and Wrexham in the international break. Yeah, there's plenty going on here. I've left quite a few leagues on, actually. 5 or 6 different countries, so hopefully we'll be able to get a few decent results in. We will have a little look at all the teams you support at the end of each season to see how they're getting on. So I know I've got to look at Ipswich, I've got to look at Wrexham, and I've got to look at Stoke and Wolves now as well. So we'll keep an eye on those. Of course, the Wolves one's a bit easier because they're right here with us. In the Premier League, are they still? Or did they go down? No, they're still here. They're in mid-table. So we'll be playing Wolves at some point on camera, so you'll get to see that one. Let's get through the press conference and we'll start going through the chat again. Apologies again. I know that I'm not quite as quick on the chat as some others. The main reason being I'm still on a one-screen setup here. I'm very much in the amateur setup. It's my next sort of big thing I'm working towards with ad revenue. Obviously, the first thing was a webcam. The second thing was bringing console content back and live streaming for the first time. And now I want to really get the second screen so I can reply to you in live time and see both as we go along. So I've got the phone going at the same time, but it just looks rude looking away like that all the time. And it means the FM bit slows down as well. So no real standouts in those scout reports. We're not going to praise Ashley Harrett again because he keeps getting it every week. Wow, the chat's going mad. Thank you so much to everyone involved. Tom, are we doing a podcast after this? Yes, I'm free till 2 o'clock. I'm not interviewing a pro till then, so if you give me 10 minutes for lunch, I'll be ready to do a podcast with you. That is for our Sunday Stadium review series. I owe you all a big thanks for the Charlton episode, because, well, me and Tom both do, because it has gone absolutely insane. It got about 220, 230 views when, I mean, I don't know what we did differently, but it was absolutely incredible. And even the crew one this week has done double as well, twice as well, sorry, as most of the others. It's already on about 40, I think. So thank you so much for your help with that. It's not really intended to be a big viewing series or even something long term on the channel. It's just they're the sort of chats me and Tom would have on the train while we're going to try and do the 92 at various grounds. So for us, it's just sort of a bit therapeutic during lockdown. Gives us something to do, gives us the conversations and normality we'd normally have. And also, hopefully, entertains a few of you or gives you a bit of knowledge of a ground you might want to visit. Jonah loving Wolves as well. Yeah, they're doing really well. They're a great side. I'm sure the gamer will be happy with that comment. Yep, he is. Wolves, in FM is incredibly bad? I suppose, because a few of the younger ones, so sort of the Vinagres, I know he becomes a very good player. The Netos, they're not quite as well known. Pedence, they're sort of not as well rated as perhaps they should be. And some of the English ones that come through never get that rating. So the likes of Cody and Doherty, they never get the rating they deserve. It's always been the case, to be honest. It'll be the same with Sheffield United next year. And it'll be the same with others moving forwards. They don't know how to rate them because they're adapting to a new level. So for Wolves, I'd imagine it will gradually increase. And hopefully Sheffield United a year or two behind. We've got a bit of a dilemma today. Callum Bonner's knackered, but I think I have to play him. Sunday Balogun's not happy. He's tired from travelling. So do you know what? He's been in poor form. Should we just start Leon Lowry? Let's get another one of the homegrowners in. Harrott will be on the bench. Trevor O'Callaghan off for him. And we'll start Harrott as well. So a couple of changes. Let's go and get into the final game of the day. A bonus game with Leicester. We said we weren't going to do it, but let's go and play the last one. The game where we've got two playmakers, which doesn't really suit the FM20 tactics. Yeah, I suppose that's the thing. You can't really play Moutinho and Neves together, really, can you? I guess the only thing is if one can play decently as a Mazzala, because that role sort of works differently. Trying to think what else you could do. I guess Neves is probably good enough to be box to box, although it is a waste of his talents. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. Generally, the central midfielder duty doesn't produce the best performances. Vaughan clears one off the line there. It's a bit of a getaway early on. And Lowry fouled on a counter. Dirty foul, O'Connor. Has to get a booking. Why did he not? As Simpson carries on with a free kick. I watched your old FIFA video a few days ago. I think it was FIFA 19. I can only apologise. It is not the best content in the world. I mean, I think that FIFA 19 video, bar one video from the PES 19 demo, was the first ever console game series I made content for. So I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have good equipment. I think the first 2 or 3 seasons of FIFA I recorded on a headset. Just like a 10 quid one like that you would get at a workplace. So certainly not the best content in the world. I did want to have another go in FIFA 20, but I couldn't get enjoying the game. And as much as I know it would probably get a few views, I want content that I enjoy. Otherwise, long term, it's not really going to be a viable option. As we concede a goal, but is it offside? Tammy Abraham, it's ruled out. So we get away with that one. But thank you for checking out the old stuff. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the score predictions. 2-0 to me. Are you more confident after seeing the first 10 minutes? Because I'm certainly not. A final thank you as we get a quarter of the way through to everyone who's joining along. It's great to see the number of views creeping up even towards the end. It's lovely to see that. 11:30 on a Tuesday morning. To see so many of you about. I do appreciate it. Leicester are dominating this one, so we've just dropped a balanced and Summerskill makes another good save, but we've not even tested the keeper yet. This will be the last game from today. We'll have a quick look at a couple of profiles as Abraham heads over the bar. I thought I'd do a bonus one as we weren't quite at the hour and a half mark. And then we'll leave it at that afterwards. So Tom, give me 15 minutes. Thank you to everyone who's got involved in the chat this morning as well. I really do appreciate that. It's great to see it. The first time I've not really been able to keep up. And good to see a couple of new faces in there as well. So thank you all for getting involved as we get on a counter with Lowry. And this is where the young team can be beneficial. Lowry in down the right. Cuts inside. 3 up with him. Oh! Went alone. It's a bit greedy. There's a few with flailing arms. But you've got to say it's worth a go. Fair play to him. That is a great effort. Still not one on target. But a draw away to Leicester is a decent result. They're in 4th place in the league here. Or were at the start of play. I think they finished 6th above us last year. And nicked that last European spot. So we've got to be fair to them. Or was it they finished below us and got to the FA Cup final? Odegaard's putting the ball in. Goes short instead. Tricked a few people there. And Leicester completely on top in this final game. And at this stage, holding on for a point is all we can aim for. We have forced them back to the goalkeeper with a good bit of pressing. And it's cleared out to the left to Capuano. Out to the left back. Nori. He's got 2 inside him. One of them's Fane. And again we force them backwards. But these long highlights normally lead to something. L Gaming, great live vid. Really enjoyed it so far. Thank you. I appreciate the fact that I haven't probably been talking in the most coherent sentences today. I've not really kept up with the chat great. So thank you for your support. Thank you for putting up with it. Hopefully next week we'll be a bit less tired. We'll be able to get on with it. As Lowry's in. Hang on a minute. Over the top. Oh, he's rounded the keeper. Leon Lowry. Do you know what? I've made a decision now. We will play Balogun a bit till Christmas to keep his value up, to keep him relevant, keep interest in him. But we'll sell him to China and we'll keep Lowry as first choice. He's ready. He's ready to be a Premier League striker. Vaughan gets the ball away. We're on the back foot. Leicester are still dominating. But as it stands, we're just about holding them out. The pressing is excellent. But they've broken it here. Odegaard into Andre Fuba. Great block, Callum Bonner. Just got a block on it. A little foot. Deflects it behind for a corner. And saves Summerskill one little bit of work. He's already got a great rating, the keeper. Doesn't come for the corner. Headed down by Ferro. And it's handball. So a free kick to Burnley. And this would be a great way to end if we can nick the 3 points. 2-0 might be happening. You might be right with your prediction. Although it looks more like being 1-1 at this point. And it is now. Oh, we spoke too soon. Ferro puts it in. There's no VAR to the rescue here. And maybe it's just that Mazzala role in the middle. Because Jack Vaughan's struggling now as well. So should we try something a bit different? What other roles can we play in there? I tell you what. You mentioned about having the 2 playmakers in there. So should we go for it? We're going to have an advanced playmaker on support, or do we have 2 deep line playmakers? We'll have an advanced playmaker on support, and then Harrott will have as an attacking midfielder on attack. I know that works because we've done it in the Dawkins save. Left back struggling, but we haven't got a sub. Edmonds still struggling to get back to fitness. Vinicius on for him. And Harrott in the number 10's not had the best game, but we'll give it 5 more. So I'll tell you what, for the next 3 or 4 games, which will be the next episode, next Tuesday, we're going to do an experiment with the 2 playmakers in centre mid. And then hopefully, for the Wolves fans out there, you'll be able to have a go with Wolves if it works. Maybe 2-1. I'll tell you what, if it's going to be 2-1, I think unfortunately, it will probably be to Leicester at this rate. Our goal was our only shot on target. So I don't think we can complain at a point. And at this stage, I think we need to think about surviving first. It's into the box. Oh, it's going to be a pen. That's going to be a penalty. Who brought him down? Vinicius Xavier. Tammy Abraham has the chance to win it. 84 minutes on the clock. It is penalties galore today. Tammy Abraham against Summerskill. Oh, what a save. Tipped it wide. Ryan Summerskill, it was a decent penalty. Had enough power on it. And he got down to his bottom right and saved it. The corner's headed away, but not really out of danger yet. Torres clears and Vinicius hacks clear. That is fantastic. We're going to demand more as we go into stoppage time. I was about to time waste, but we've got a corner to defend. So let's see that one. Into the box. Ramirez. Oh, no. 90th minute. Leicester take the lead. Wardley takes the blame. We're going to have to go attacking. We're going to have to throw people forward. What a time for it. What a time for it. Oh, that is sickening. We've still got 1 sub left. So we will, as this ticks over for the last 3, just bring Sunday Balogun on. Get him up front, I think. He's going to come on for Harrott. He will go... Where on earth are we going? Sunday Balogun through the middle. I'll just play Leon Lowry in behind him. Try and get those 2 up front. And with 3 minutes, can we get a chance to nick a point? We can't. It's a Leicester corner into the end of stoppage time. Ferro heads in. Oh, Summerskill's dropped one through him now. He's had a great game as well. It's gone all wrong. Attack, attack. And it is 3-1 to Leicester City. A disastrous way to end. Another collapse on the road. And I've actually now got to start thinking about relegation battles. We'll see where it leaves us in the league. And then we'll polish off the episode. Thank you so much for everyone that's come along this morning. If you haven't already and you're still here, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Thanks to everyone for getting involved in the chat. It's the main reason I do it. To get involved live, talk to people, get to know them better. The ones who are following the videos every day. So to see you here, hopefully give you an hour where you can relax, take any worries away from the outside world. That's the main aim. So I'm glad you've enjoyed it. I'm glad you're still here. And I appreciate you being so involved in the chat and welcoming the new people along as well. We've come unstuck with a 3-1 defeat. 7 without a win. Wow. So since those first 2 games of the season, we actually haven't won a game bar Shrewsbury in the Cup. It leaves us in 13th place. Wolves are 14th and they're playing Liverpool. So let's just skip ahead and see what that result is. If Wolves win, we'll then be in relegation trouble. L Gaming, take care. Appreciate you coming along. You might make it to the end. There's only 1 or 2 minutes left. Wolves have won, so we're now down to 14th. 10 points, 6 clear of the relegation zone. And we leave it in a pretty abject state in terms of form. So what we've got next episode is going to be the hardest one. We've now dragged ourselves into a relegation battle, and we've got Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal and Manchester City all in the next 5 games. So I think it's fair to say that Aston Villa one, who by the way are flying as well, is going to be crucial. So that will be the next episode, basically the 2 hours of pain that we'll have next Tuesday morning. And then we will try and do something to recover after that for a relatively friendly spell over Christmas. Up to probably Brentford and in the FA Cup tie. That 7-game spell is going to be the episode we have to recover. So thank you all for popping along. It's great to see the number of viewers popping up even towards the end of a 2-hour live stream where we finish the games. It's so great of you to all come along this morning. If you did enjoy it and you haven't already, please put a big thumbs up on there. Make sure you check out the stream replay if you did miss any of the action. And remember to come back at 4:30 today. We'll have an episode from the head coach. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications. You'll get alerts as daily content releases. We've got Cricket 19, the stadium reviews, FM20 every day as well. And we'll be back next Tuesday with this Burnley save as well. We'll be live streaming again. And I hope you'll be able to join me for it. Finally, please do go over and check out the podcast channel. I've mentioned some of the interviews that I've done with pros. I'm really proud of them. I really enjoy them. And if you're a football fan, I'm sure you'll be able to find someone who's either played for one of the clubs you like, played for your hometown club, or just someone that you've heard of during your career. So it'd be really great. Maybe even someone you've had on FM. So it'd be really great if you could check them out. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you next week. Thank you very much for joining along. Goodbye to everyone. Thanks for getting involved in the chat. And we'll see you next week at the same time.